So I'm a little bit late on it, but I want you guys to know that I'm late because I wanted to do some more background investigation, get some more information. So some of the stuff that you probably heard other people say, maybe we're going to overlap, maybe we're not. But I do have my own opinions on it. I do have my own experience on it. So I'm going to talk about the Revolt Summit from a different perspective. Thank you, Gwen, for asking how am I? I'm good. I'm dealing with some sickness in my family right now. One of my aunts is hanging on for her dear life. So I've been really absent from the scene because I have to get my mind right for that situation. So, but other than that, I'm doing okay. I'm glad you guys are on. I'm also talking to my YouTube communities. My first time going live, or my second time going live on YouTube. I don't really go live on YouTube, but I figure I'll give it a shot because I always do the videos here and then upload it there, and people want me to go live there. So I'm trying to do both at one time. But let's get into this. I hope you guys have already watched the Revolt Summit. I'm going to be honest with you guys. It took me a while to get into the Revolt Summit. I put it on. I started watching it. I turned it off. I put it back on. Started watching it. Turned it off. And then finally I sat down and I watched it from beginning to end. And I took notes. Because the reason why I was turning it off, because I was able to pick up from the very beginning the trick bag that was going on. Like the foolery was going on. And I just think that people will do just about anything for clout. And that's what I got out of this Revolt Summit. So I know some of the people in my audience, especially on my Facebook community, I know some of you guys did not see the Revolt Summit. Some of you guys don't even care to see the Revolt Summit, and I get that. So let me just take this opportunity to just tell you guys a little bit about the Revolt Summit. Just a little bit of background information on it so that you can follow along with what I'm about to talk about. The Revolt Summit is part of Revolt TV, in which I believe that, I don't know what he called himself anymore today. I don't know if he's P. Diddy, Sean Puffy Combs. I don't know what the man's name is anymore. But P. Diddy, a.k.a. Sean Puffy Combs, a.k.a. Sean John, whoever this dude is. Yeah, so he partnered with Revolt. And he put on this summit where they were supposed to talk about black issues, sort of like a black agenda type of situation, to start moving the conversation forward. And they like to preface it that where else are people having this conversation? And let me stop right there for a moment. The preference for the moderator said, where else are people having this conversation except on Revolt? Which is a lie. Which is a lie. So I think from that statement right there, how that had me feeling is that people are using what we're going through. And many of us who are speaking out publicly, there are a lot of people who have platforms that have been talking about black issues since forever. And so I think that when I was watching this Revolt situation, some of my thoughts were clout. They're doing anything for clout. They're coming out on this thing and using what we're going through as a people collectively to build up their ratings. People like to jump on what's hot for the moment. And that was something about this whole summit that frustrated me. So it's important for us to start first with just understanding who are the people that was on the panel. There was a guy, Steve Parget, and I'm not trying to be funny. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, guys. But honestly, I don't even know who this guy is. I Googled him. I read some stuff about him, which is a whole bunch of fluff, in my opinion. But I don't even know who this guy is. He comes out with a sweater on, tied around his neck. So, you know, like certain types of people, they like to wear, like, you know, golf shorts, polo tops, and they don't take like a cardigan sweater and tie it around their neck. That's how he was dressed. Now, for some people, that don't matter. And there's going to be a little bit of things in this video that's going to be a little bit petty. You know, I'm just being honest with you guys. But for some people, it don't matter. For me, that matters a lot. I see this guy with this outfit on, and the first thing that came to my mind was, A, who is he? And B, why is he on the panel? Why is it that he has a seat on that panel? I don't know. So I didn't get much from him, but his focus, which tells me a lot. The question was, what is the single most important issue blacks in this political election is facing? And he responds, the dude with the sweater around his neck, he responds, climate change and technology change. And he went on to say that the jobs are changing and the market is changing. And I get it and I understand it. But I don't know if that's the single most important issue that us as black people are facing. So what I got out of that situation was he was looking for a platform, once again, clout, a platform for him to speak on what he wants to speak on and a way of getting his name out there, or for him to get his little screen time so that he can go ahead and put it on his electronic press kit or his resume to say that he was on the summit. Then you had Candace Owens. Now let me just take a moment. Let me take a moment for Candace Owens. I see Nakaya on. What's up, Gwendolyn, Nakaya, and Francis? How y'all doing, beautiful ladies? How's everyone doing? But let's talk about Candace Owens. Candace Owens, I believe, is 30 years old. And she's another person. And I know there's people out there that just love them some Candace. And that is fine. That is fine. I think that if you're going to love Candace, you got to know why you love Candace Owens. You can't just go by some stuff that she spits out of her mouth that sounds good. Like 75% of the people in California are illiterate. You know, 75% of the kids in the school system in California are illiterate. People like to take these kind of statistics and they throw stuff out there like that. And we as a community, I'm going to really need us to stop eating that shit up. I'm going to really need us to hold people accountable. I'm going to really need us to make sure people give us their references, give us their sites where they're getting this information from. Because that is a dangerous game, in my opinion, that Candace Owens and people like Candace Owens play. They get out there, they make these comments that they heard somewhere else, haven't really done a slew of research on it. They just spit these things out of their mouths. And because they talk the loudest, and they can be slick with their languages, and they scream the loudest, and they might degrade people or put in their petty crown and wear it the best, we tend to love people like that in our community. That's dangerous. I'm just being real with you guys. That is dangerous. So when I look at Candace, like somebody said, what is Candace Owens' agenda? That's an excellent question. When I look at what she's doing, and I look at what she's doing in the context of her history, it makes me question her. But she's on this panel. She starts to talk about the word that she's continuously hearing is socialism, and how that's dangerous, and it killed 100 million people in the last 100 years. All of this stuff needs to be put into context. When we talk about socialism, how it's dangerous and who it killed needs to be put into context. But when you spit these kind of things out there and it just sounds good, a lot of people who are misinformed, uninformed, or don't even care to even know about what she's speaking of, they're not going to go do additional research. They're just going to take what she is saying. They're going to eat it up because it sounds good. And she says it so matter-of-factly. She's poised, right? She tells people off in her own little way. She has white America backing her. And a lot of us, we go for this kind of stuff. We go for this kind of stuff. We eat it up. But at the end of the day, what are you really saying? Let's look at her whole history. Let's look at how she got to where she is. Another person, just go and look at her history. Don't listen to me. Go watch some of the videos that she explains things. Go back and read about her. Go out there and just follow what she does. You got to pull receipts. You have to really go through people's history to really get an understanding of who these people are and what they're trying to do. She is a clout chaser. And that's very dangerous. That's very dangerous, because people are saying she's dangerous. You're absolutely right. What I experienced from listening to her, she gets a lot of younger people. Like I got her by 12 years, right? So you get a lot of younger people just following her who may be undereducated, who may be uneducated, who may be ill-informed, and they think that she knows what she's talking about because she speaks well. You have to look at all the people she is in bed with. That kind of stuff really matters, because when you are in bed with, and I'm talking about figuratively speaking, when you are in bed with people, that will really tell the audience what's your focus, what's your aim, and who you're really rooting for, who you're really looking to protect. What I'm sick and tired of happening in our community, there's so many people who are riding the black coattail and they're making names for themselves, but they're not doing any of the work. They're not known for doing any of the real work. And just because you have a loud mouth, and just because you are on TV, and just because you are cussing people out, and just because you have a blog, does not mean you are significant enough to speak on behalf of the black community. So that's enough about her. Then we have T.I. Oh my gosh. I just wish T.I. would just speak to music and stay in that area, because we also have to be mindful of this as a community. And what I mean by that, there are a lot of us in our community. If you put a celebrity in front of us, we will eat up anything that the celebrity says. We will not question it. We'll just eat it up, and we'll take it as facts and truth. As a matter of fact, they can say just about anything. It doesn't even have to make sense. And you know what will happen? We will start clapping just because it was the celebrity that said it. And that's what I saw on this Revolt Summit. The celebrity made a comment, everybody starts clapping, and I'm scratching my head, and I'm saying to myself, excuse me guys, I hope your kids are not following me today, because you know today I'm going to have a potty mouth. So I hope your kids are not following me today. But you know, everyone will start clapping, and I'm scratching my head like, what the fuck did he just say? And no one is questioning this. I find that very disturbing that we do that in our community. Anybody can get out there, and because they have a following and a reputation, and they are who they are because we know who they are, anything that they feed us, we go with. And sometimes I feel our community has like cult-like behavior. And many people will be like, no, I don't have cult-like behavior. They'll automatically say, no, they don't have it. But truth be told, Facebook and YouTube, truth will be told, if you really think about a cult, cults don't really question their leader, their so-called leader, the people that they're looking up to. They don't really question it. They go along with it. They do all types of dumb shit because they like the person who is, quote unquote, the leader. They don't question anything. They don't go back and do additional research. They just follow along blindly. And so when I saw T.I. up there, even though he made some interesting points, that's how I saw him. That we just go along with it because it's T.I. But we don't pay attention to the stuff that T.I. is saying. Everybody is writing on this whole black agenda phrase. That has just become a clickbait phrase for a lot of people. It's just clickbait. If you say black agenda, everybody is following it. Everyone is listening, but no one is truly asking the questions that need to be asked concerning the so-called black agenda. We're not having real critical conversations. Like, for example, I say it all the time in my Facebook community. I say it all the time. When we are using the word black, or as I say, so-called black, who are we speaking about? Because we are not all the same. We are not monolithic people. Who are we speaking to when we say the black agenda? Whose agenda are we speaking to? There are a lot of agendas out there, but I don't know if they support what matters to me. I don't know if it supports what matters to you. But people are riding this coattail of just using the word black agenda. Then all of a sudden, we all get up in arms. Now, I'm going to say this about Candace Owens. I'm going to say this. Let me back up a little bit. I want you guys to know that there are things that she says that we really should examine deeper. Not because it's not necessarily true, but because if we examine certain things deeper, it will cause us to start looking at things differently. And so there are things that she says that I absolutely agree with. Let me say that again. There are things that she says that I absolutely agree with. But when she is questioned to go deeper, that's when it starts falling apart. And she will be so powerful if she would just sit down and do the proper research. Not the research that PragerU is putting in her head. Not the research that her husband, Michael Farmer, might be putting in her head, or their associates. Not that, because we already know that that research is going to be one-sided. That's why I say she represents a conflict of interest. You can't really speak on behalf of black people and for black people if you are in a situation that is conflicting. Let me say that again. You really cannot speak for black people or on behalf of black people if you are in a situation that is conflicting. And that's just not for Candace Owens. That's for Tip. That's for Killer Mike. That's for Katrina Pearson. That's for Tamika Mallory. And we have to be able to say it. And sometimes I feel in our community, we get so caught up on not wanting to say anything to offend somebody. You can say stuff that is true without hurting people, without taking jabs at them, without disrespecting them. There's no need to disrespect anybody, but it is a need to question the affiliations and associations that people have. For example, back to T.I. What's up, Dwayne? How you doing? For example, let's go back to T.I. for a second. T.I. talks about, I think he said something, let me see my notes. I think he said something about opportunity zones when one of the candidates one of the panels had talked about opportunity zones. And he mentioned how he has taken advantage of opportunity zones. So he's all for the tax cuts, and he's taking advantage of it in areas that speak to the needs of the people. And I'm paraphrasing what he said, but he said the difference is the other people, and I guess he's talking about white people, I don't know, but the other people that come in to take advantage of opportunity zones don't know what the people need. So stop right there for a second. Now, I'm not taking a jab at T.I. I'm just questioning. Because I say to you guys all the time, we have to always ask why, and we have to unpack questions deeply. We just can't be taking what people say on face value and not make people unpack their statements. So if you're saying that you know what the people need, and you have also been taking advantage of opportunity zones, then I'm going to need for somebody here, maybe y'all know, because T.I. clearly didn't go that route on the summit, but I'm gonna need one of y'all to tell me how he has met the needs of the people via opportunity zones. And that's not rhetorical, meaning I'm not just making a statement. I'm asking a question because maybe he has. Maybe he has, and I haven't found it yet. But if he's talking about he knows exactly what the people need, and he has taken advantage of opportunity zones to meet the needs of the people, in what way? In what way? Because when I last checked the research, and I think about what we need, we are in a really bad position here. As a people, we are in a very bad position here. And yes, somebody had brought up the educational system, which that was an area they really should have focused on. But we know we've been saying this for forever. We are the people. We don't need T.I. to tell us that we are the people. We don't need Tamika Mallory, not Tamika in that area. Let me put Tamika to the sideline for a second. But we don't need Killer Mike to tell us who the people are. We don't need Candace Owens to tell us who the people are, because we are the people. So you got to think about what it is that you need. What it is that you need, and then search for the people who are actually providing what we need to see if this is a fact. So I know that, for example, if we know that schools are failing, if we know that schools where black children are failing, and we're not doing as well as our counter schools, who are the people who are in position financially to do so, who are starting their own schools for our people? Now, y'all know that I'm one of them. For people that really know who I am and what I do, I'm one of them. I educate my own people. I share it on you guys. I haven't updated you guys in our class that just started, right? So we have the finance and budgeting. My child goes to a black-owned school where nothing but black teachers and black students. I'm one of the teachers there too. I have my school, my Aunt Freedom Prep. So we have these things that's happening on a smaller scale. But when we talk about knowing what our people need, are the celebrities or people like them in position, not just celebrities, but people who are in financial positions to donate into organizations, schools, and businesses that service our people, are they doing it? So that's why we have to really, 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 really start examining some of the things that are being said. Because I don't know about you guys, but there are a lot of black organizations, black schools, black businesses that will really need the help, that are doing good things, but they can't keep up with it financially because it costs money to service a community that doesn't have. It costs money for me to keep my counseling center open and provide counseling services to a community because they need culturally sensitive and culturally competent care from somebody, not just that because I look like them, but because I am a part of the community and I understand what is happening. They need that. But how many people, and I am a 501c3, I'm hooked up in a lot of different organizations to try to get funded into my organization. But how many people from the outside of our community have donated into the organization? I can count on my hands. I can count on one hand. So when we make these statements, I need us to really hold people accountable. Go to any of these foundations. I don't care if it's Jay-Z or whomever. Go to these foundations and look at the recipients. Who are the majority of the recipients? How are they even recruiting the recipients? Who do they donate to? So I would really need to know that. Moving on to Killer Mike, because I'm not going to stay here all day because this is old news. This is old news, but I'm just telling you guys honestly, I wasn't pleased with this at all. Moving on to Killer Mike. Again, there are some things that Killer Mike says that's spot on. But again, as a people, are we just all excited and up in arms because he speaks the loudest? Because he can cuss in the most swaggest way, if that's even a word, because he has swag when he cuss, when he makes people listen, because he's like niggas, 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 and we all like ha ha ha, and we all laughing. We got to put that shit aside. Just because you go around and you speak to different people, you are caping for burning. And you haven't really told us why we should cape for burning. But at the same time, in the same breath, you say that we have to burn down the houses of both slave masters. So which one is it going to be? You're caping for a man that doesn't even want to have a conversation about reparations. And this is not to say whether or not, well, let me not even say that. Because, yeah, we do want our reparations, goddammit. We do want it, period. But I was going to say, this is not whether or not he's going to go and run on the basis of reparations. We're not going to vote you in solely for that. But what are you going to do specifically for black people? You have Killer Mike on a panel talking about issues for black people and what we should do politically and position ourselves to be able to compete in this political system and get what we need out of it. But you haven't told us why we should back this man that you're backing. Maybe you guys know. Maybe you guys know. Because I really don't know. I don't know why he's caping for Bernie so hard. We always got to go back to what some of our greats have said, that is our ancestors and those who are still living among us. We always have to go back. Let's go back to somebody who's alive. Let's go back to Dr. Clout Anderson. And when Dr. Clout Anderson was speaking to us about how you navigate the political system, Dr. Clout Anderson had told us that you can't come to the table and not get anything out of it. Somebody saying they like my hair. Thank you, Candy. I got my Sister Locks, boo. You got to follow my Sister Locks channel. I got one on YouTube. But anyway, Dr. Clout Anderson said when he was, I forgot the president that he was working with hand in hand, but he pretty much said that when he went to the table, this president wanted him, or this person who was running wanted him to do something in particular. You guys got to tell me the name of the person he's speaking of, because I don't have my book in front of me. But he has said that when they went, that they wanted something from him, and he knew that he could make it happen, but he knew that that was his bargaining chip. And in order for him to do what this guy, this politician, was asking him to do, he put his request. He basically said the law of reciprocity. You do this for me, and I'll do this for you. So the question that I have for us in this community, both on YouTube and in person, the question I have for us is, what exactly is Killer Mike getting out of the deal? And whatever he's getting out of deal, does it benefit us as a community, or does it benefit him? So, like I said, maybe you guys know what he's doing better than I do. I don't know. But I haven't seen it, and I've been searching. So I have to ask myself fundamentally, if we're going to be caping for somebody, do you want us to back you because we're all getting something out of this deal, or are you walking away with something out of the deal? And if you're walking away with something out of the deal, are you using us? You got to understand that almost everybody on this panel has their position to protect. So they're going to put themselves first. Right? And we have to really look at that. We have to really examine what is not being said. What is not being said. Because we get so excited about certain things because it sounds good. And they scream the loudest, that we're not really asking the why questions. But had it been somebody like me, had it been somebody like Dr. Umar Johnson, had it been something like well, I was going to say Dr. Boyce Watkins, but I'm not sure. But had it been many other people that are in this arena, in this space, y'all would question us to a T. Y'all would think twice before y'all even click on anything that we do. Y'all might like the way topics sound. Y'all might show up live to hear a topic, but when it comes down to really doing the work, how many of you guys show up consistently? Right? And I'm not trying to be funny whatsoever, but we see it every day. We see it every day in our community. We get out there, we do something for the community, and the turnout is iffy. Sometimes the turnout is big, sometimes it's not. But let it be T.I., Killer Mike, or anybody else that was on the panel, we'll turn up, not because what they're telling us is giving us something that we can do something with, but because of who they are, and they scream the loudest. That's dangerous, people. That's very dangerous. And I don't know how I feel about that. Are we doing stuff like this? Another person I want to go over is this Katrina Pearson. Once again, even with Katrina Pearson, another clout chaser. Read her history. If I was living upstate New York, she would have been put in the category of PWT. And I'm not trying to be funny, but she would have been categorized as poor white trash. But I know some of y'all are going to say, but she isn't white, Dr. Shauna. She isn't white. Says who? She gets to choose how she identifies, right? But we always have to look at allegiances. So look at her allegiances. Go back in her history, from her mama to her campaigning from Trump. Go back through her history. Just because she has melanin in her skin doesn't mean she is aligning herself with us. A lot of times people align themselves with us when it's popular to do so, when it's going to get them something out of it. Remember that one person that they used when they went to the congressional hearing about reparation, and I forgot the guy's name already, but he's actually Hispanic. And yes, he's an Afro-Latino, but he doesn't identify as an African Latino, not one iota. And they found the clip of him saying that when it was beneficial for him, he identified as black when it was beneficial for him. And he took on the title of African American because it was beneficial for him. So we got to really watch people like this. We got to really watch people like this. They're on there and we're all clapping for them because they sound good, they look good, but you have to really ask yourself, who are they caping for? Who are they caping for? This whole summit was a farce. This whole summit again was for clout. It was for clout for P. Diddy and the people that he's shaking hands with. The people that he is shaking hands with. And that's a conflict of interest. So they're never going to let the conversation go a certain way because it's going to hurt sponsorship. It's going to hurt money. It's going to hurt connections. If you really want to talk about a black agenda, you really should have had the voices that really, 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 really are speaking about it. Why wasn't there a Yvette Carnell on there? Why wasn't there Antonio Moore on there? Why wasn't there Dr. William Darity on there? Why weren't those people on that platform? Why wasn't there Dr. Umar Johnson on that platform? Why wasn't it? See, we got to really pay attention to that. We got to stop being excited because somebody uses the word the black agenda and we roll with it. We just go with it. We got to stop being excited about that stuff. Yeah, why wasn't there a Ta-Nehisi Coates? Why wasn't there a Dr. Cornel West? We don't always have to agree with everybody, but we really do have to have the voices that matter. That's important for us to really even consider that. But I'll tell you why. Because money talks and everything else walks. Money talks and everything else walks. Right? Why wasn't there Dr. Claude Anderson on there? You know, let's talk about Tamika Mallory real quick. And then I got to get out of here. Let me talk about Tamika Mallory real quick. I want to start this. I want to preface this by saying that I like Tamika Mallory. I'm going to say that. I'm going to say that. I like Tamika Mallory in the way, not only the way she presents herself, but you can tell that when she speaks, she's speaking because she is research informed. And that makes a difference. That's the reason why I like her. I don't know her personally. And maybe I like her because she's from the Bronx too. Y'all know I'm from the Bronx. Maybe I like her because of that reason too. Co-op City, what's up? Stand up. But anyway, but aside from that, y'all know I'm being funny. But aside from that, she is research informed. She is research informed. But here's the problem that I'm having with getting past Tamika Mallory. I know she's no longer tied to the Women's March. But the fact that she got tied up in that in the first place doesn't sit well with me. I'm just being honest with you guys. Family, can I be honest with you guys? The fact that she got tied up with these women, I ain't calling no names. Y'all gotta do your research on these women. The fact that she got tied up with these women who historically is like water and vinegar, water and oil. Like it just doesn't go together. Oil and vinegar is what I meant to say. I apologize. Historically, we don't mesh well with these women. I'm not understanding why she got tied up with these women in the first place. And then they try to make a mockery of her and to classify her as anti-Semitic and saying that she's a bully toward Jewish women. Did you not see that coming, Tamika? Did you think it was going to go differently? And I understand why she did it. I understand, like she said, because she wanted a voice to be at the table. She wanted black women's voices to be represented at the table. But Tamika, my beautiful sister from the BX, stand up. Tamika, we don't need a voice at the white table. And this is what we need to start moving away from. We need to have a voice at our table first so we can be on one accord with one agenda. We don't have to agree with each other. And she's absolutely right when she says we're not a monolithic people. We don't have to agree with each other, but we have to have one accord. We have to understand that we have a common threat and a common enemy, and we have to work together toward that. And as long as we are rubbing shoulders and shaking hands with the wrong people, we are dismantling any progress that we make as a people. So there's certain things that I don't agree with. And I know she's I don't know, I'm not going to say she's anti-gun laws, but she's for these gun laws. But I don't want you to remove my Second Amendment, my right to that. And I don't speak for everybody. But y'all that been following me for a long time, y'all know I know how to put a bullet right in the middle of somebody's head. Y'all who seen my videos when I pull it up, y'all know I know how to shoot. I don't want somebody taking that away from me. And is that in alignment with our agenda? If we know for a fact that we are at a place, and we've been at a position in a place right now in America that we have to protect ourselves. Period. Period. Shit, we're working double time. We got to protect ourselves from other people. We got to protect ourselves from ourselves. You're not taking away my Second Amendment right. I don't know. I'm not in no kumbaya situation. But I need my Second Amendment right. Because they got theirs and I need mine. So that's what I mean when I say I like her. But there's certain things that I have to question. I don't know about you guys. I'm just saying there's certain things that Dr. Shauna has to question. And we do have to question these things. Another thing is the feminism. Like she's gun-ho feminism. And listen, I know this feminist watching this now. And that's your business. But I don't know if we should be caping for that as a community. Let me say that again. I don't know. And this is just my opinion. You know, we got to come to a table. We have to have these real conversations. I feel that's what the Revolt Summit should have did. It should have had those real conversations. Because as a community, I don't know if feminism has its place right now in our struggle where we're at. And anytime a white woman knocks on your door and contacts you and says, because of your views of feminism, we want you to co-chair this march with us, that's a strike right there. That right there is already questionable. We have to understand women of African descent. We have to understand women of color, however you identify yourself. We have to understand that as of right now today, that's not our place. We have no place there. There's a lot of stuff that we have to get together as a people, as a community. And to just get onto other people's bandwagons to fight what they're fighting for is not our fight. Because in no way has that women's march served us as black people, as black women. Where has it served us as black women? I need somebody to answer that. Where has it been better for you since those marches happened? Where is it helping you as black women? I don't see it. I don't see it. So that's what I mean when I say we have to really question the context in which people are speaking, number one, and number two, their histories. Because when you look at somebody's foundation, that's going to tell you a lot. It's going to tell you a lot. I don't know about rubbing hands with what was that lady's name, Teresa Shook or something like that. I don't know about rubbing hands with that white woman that was leading the women's march. But that happened. And then when she's outed, when Tamika is outed from the march, I mean, damn. You use her to build it up and then you out her. That's what I mean when I say we got to look at situations and we have to question it. But again, I don't know what her position is on the black agenda because they didn't really let her speak. And I think that they should have let her speak. And I'm being honest. And I'm not playing favoritism, right? But I'm being really honest. I think that they really should have let Tamika Mallory speak. Because when the things that she did speak on, she had very valid points. And I wanted to hear more of it. We needed to have more of an intellectual conversation on that panel and not emotional outbursts. And I think we had a lot of emotional outbursts on that panel. And it left everyone feeling like, well, what is the black agenda? Even to this day, if I say anything to anyone about the black agenda, they're still questioning what exactly is the black agenda. In this day and age where we are right now, we've been fighting for a very long time against police brutality. We've been fighting against our failing systems, our school systems, our failing healthcare systems. We have been fighting against the concern about the wealth gap as it relates to African Americans. We all know about the wealth gap, and I hope we do. And if we don't, you got to do some research. But these things all require an agenda systematically to change these things. Just going into the schools and protesting about your kids' education is not going to change the law alone. We need laws. We need laws that are specific for us. We need laws. And that is the agenda. But no one really was getting specific with the agenda. No one's really talking about the fact that the net worth, according to the most recent study done by economists, the net worth of African Americans will be at a zero by 2053. That wasn't even discussed there. I think the Revolt Summit, if they were going to do it, they should have used it in a way to have a conversation of where we should be moving. We're arguing about stuff that got us nowhere. That was a waste of time. It was clout chasing. It was a trick bag fiasco. It didn't get us absolutely anywhere. We wasted our goddamn time with that. The only thing it's done is brought recognition to Puffy being over Revolt, and now everybody knows the name Revolt. It was dangerous. It was dangerous. We are the people. We are the people. We know what we're up against. We know what we're up against. We shouldn't have to have, in 2019, we should not have to be fighting for us to wear our hair however we want to wear our hair. If we want to lock it, we shouldn't be fighting against people trying to cut off our locks. It's an all-out attack on us, and we need protective status. We need a protective classification. Just like the LGBTQIA population has a protective classification, we need it. We need it. Just like Native Americans have a protective classification, we need it. Because until that happens, we're not going to be able to get anything for us. Because then it's going to be considered discriminatory, i.e. the Civil Rights Act. So we really need to start educating our community on the things that we absolutely must start talking about. When we tell people, no black agenda, no vote, we got to really explain what that means. Now, for example, what I mean when I say it, I got to get out of here. My son got to get to his mentor program. When I say no black agenda, no vote, unless you start speaking specifically to black issues, I don't want to hear any more catch-all statements. You want our vote and we want stuff from you. Unless you start sitting down with us and asking us, what can we do? What kind of laws can we put in place in terms of police brutality? They're not going to reverse that because that is is it the Fourth Amendment? Y'all got to remember, because remember I did a whole video on this. I'm always mixing up the 14th and the 4th Amendment. But if it's not the 4th Amendment, it's the 14th Amendment that pretty much give police officers that right. They have to just say they felt their lives was at risk. They could put a bullet in us and they'll be justified. Maybe we need to go back and start re-examining some of that. We need to have that kind of conversation. But people want to keep coming up with the same dumb shit. Oh, they need more training. They don't need more training. They're doing exactly what they were trained to do. This is not a new occurrence. So we really do need to start having real conversations. We really need to start educating our own community politically because our community is not educated politically. And getting us there is not going to happen by yelling and screaming at each other on a stage. Educating the people. Educating the people. Yes, Dwayne, thank you. 14th Amendment. Educated the people. We need to really educate them on that. We're over here and we're arguing about, oh, well, black people don't vote. You're part of the problem. No, you're not. See, when you make statements like that, that means that you are ill-informed and you don't understand the power of your vote. And you always like to compare it. People always like to compare it to our ancestors. Our ancestors were very strategic when it came to their votes. And everyone wants to focus on 1965 and 1958, 1954. They always want to focus on that era. But you have to understand the civil rights came way before that era. And there was a time in our history where we held, maybe not a majority of the seats, but we were powerfully represented in Congress and legislation. Powerfully. Because we were strategic about how we went along doing things. Now we want to say don't hold your vote, but you want to try to force feed us to vote for two people who are killing us. It's crazy. It's crazy. So we really have to say that we have to be strategic. And there was nothing strategic about the Revolt Summit, in my opinion. There was nothing strategic about it. Did anybody leave feeling like they knew a little bit more? Did anybody stop watching that revolt? I mean, it took me like a week to get through it because I was disgusted. I was disgusted. But did anybody leave watching the revolt feeling like they learned something and they're ready to move forward and we've got to start organizing? Did anyone leave with that? Because I didn't. And maybe some of you guys did. Y'all got to let me know. I didn't. So I say all this to say that this is what is being created for us as a people. And we're being given mediocre things that yield mediocre results. And we wind up finding ourselves in the same situation over and over and over and over again. And that's concerning for me. And we're following people that really don't have our best interests at heart, but they say they do. But they say they do. The fact that, and I get what T.I. is saying, but the fact that he even made a joke about his tax break, this is not a joking manner. It's not. And maybe it was funny for you on the stage, but it's not funny for the community that's watching this. It's not funny for the community that's being pushed into $15 an hour jobs, doing menial things, and they got master's degrees. That's not funny to me. There's nothing laughing. There's no laughing matter about that for me. That shit pissed me off. And because they don't even understand the concept of what you're talking about. Yeah, on the surface, they know about your tax break, but they don't know the bigger picture. And how that also hurts us. And I'm not saying for him to give up his tax break. But you got to understand he's always going to vote his interests. And his interest is not necessarily our interest. So yeah, we can ride the coattail of black people and the clickbait titles like Black Agenda, Black Power, all this other stuff that we talk about. Yeah, that can happen. But at the end of the day, has that gotten us anywhere? Has that given us any collective action? People are not going to do things to jeopardize their bread and butter. Now, I'm not saying that he's eating butter biscuits. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that a lot of them are in conflicts of interest. Tamika Mallory can speak to that the best, talking about conflicts of interest. Because the minute she became a conflict of interest to the head boss, I think her name was Teresa Suk or Tarika Shuk, or whatever the lady's name is. I can care less to know about her. But the minute she said something that lady didn't like, there was an all-out campaign against Tamika Mallory. It was an all-out virtual and media assassination against her character. That's what a conflict of interest looks like. And we are listening to people who are in conflicts of interest. We are listening to people who are in conflicts of interest that are too afraid to fight. What is that guy from that owns the Weather Channel? The black guy, Barron Allen or something like that? I think that's his name. Why wasn't he on that panel? Somebody who is not in a conflict of interest. Somebody who speaks boldly against supremacy. Somebody who took it all the way up to court on the Civil Rights Act and won. Why wasn't he on that summit? The people that need to be there aren't there. But yet we're going to have somebody like Candace Owens, no disrespect to her, but we're going to have her talk about the Black family unit. And I'm not saying the surface stuff and what she said had accuracy, but it wasn't truly true. It wasn't true. It was a lot of fallacy in there. And I can say that and I can back it up because I'm a researcher and that's my area of expertise. And I can give you a plethora of research. So we listen to these things and we run with it and we don't back it up by anything. And it's dangerous because what we're actually doing when we do things like that, we're furthering a system of white supremacy and we don't even realize it. There's a lot of Black people that further the system of white supremacy and don't even realize it. Right? So I think what she was saying is not true to all areas. Like she's talking about single mothers. Do you know how many single mothers are among white women nowadays? But they still don't go through what we go through. We got to be very careful about this. So don't blame the mothers. There's a bigger system here that we have to explore. A bigger system at work. And nothing is independent of another system. So when we start to isolate things and we start to say things like welfare and mothers, they don't have to do it because they're on welfare. What population are you speaking to? Because that's a small population compared to the bigger population and the Black community. But you wouldn't know that because we continuously follow bad stats. Bad stats. Did you know when they talk about single parent households, they do not count people who are cohabitating with their partners? They do not count them. We got to pay attention to that. We got to pay attention to that. Don't you know that there are people who are married, living together, but they use different addresses and they don't report on their taxes as living in the same household because one person may have kept their house or their apartment and never have given it up, even though they live in the same house, but they don't get counted in that stat. And then we have to also understand when we start citing people's research, whose research are we citing? All of that stuff matters. All of that stuff matters. Whose research are you citing? And what's that person's agenda? Right? So I didn't want to go into specifics on the revolt because people already covered those things and I wasn't going to say anything different. But I wanted to say that we need to have more coverage that talks about real conversations that matter, that gets us on board, that lets people walk away taking notes because they have to go back and research and they have to get on point and on code. We need to have those kind of conversations to inform the public. And we're going to talk about this political thing. The conversation needs to be centered around that and why it matters. We got a lot of people out there, and not for nothing, y'all know I always speak to the baby boomers, because that's another conversation within of itself, and I'm not going to have that conversation today about the baby boomers. But we even need to examine the age divide in our community, because there's an engineering that is attached to mindset that comes along with that. And that's also causing division in our community and with what we're trying to do. And why? Because many of the baby boomers, they have their assets to protect. See, because they were coming up in an era where you can get out of high school and make $60,000, $70,000. That's not the current generation's story right now. And it's not because they're lazy. It's not because they're not trying to work. It's not because they're uneducated. I had somebody come to me the other day and wants to volunteer at my organization. This young woman holds a bachelor's degree. And when we were speaking about salary and stuff, can I tell you that she makes in her 30s? I almost hit the floor. Having a bachelor's degree and you're making $14 and some change an hour, that is sickening. So when we have people who have already established their lives, they already have their pension, they already have their retirement fund, they already have their lifelong insurance. They can still go to the doctors when they already have that, and not understanding the plight of young people today, that's sickening to me. And that's a problem. And we need to talk about that. We need to talk about that. So we have real issues that we are facing. And if we don't really start having these real conversations at the table, we're going to stay in the same situation forever. Forever. We need to educate the people about the census. I saw that on a panel. They talked about the census. And that's why I said I wish they would have given Tamika Mallory more time to speak, because if you go back and listen, if nothing else, go back and listen to what she said toward the end regarding the census. That is a fact. That is backed up. And that matters. But our people truly have to understand it without criticizing them. Now, there is a time and place where we need to criticize people. Constructively criticize them. There is a time and place for it. But on that panel, that wasn't a time and place. All these people in there, we had an opportunity. But then when I started seeing some of the people in the audience speak, I was like, okay, yeah, I get it. I understand what's happening here. And I hate to sound like that, like a cynic, but that's what it is. Right? That's what it is. I saw somebody saying, somebody was saying that, I think somebody said the ticket was $350 to get in there. See, and if that was, and I think Sister Allison, I believe you said it. I love Sister Allison. She comes to my workshops and everything. Sister Allison is dope. But I believe Sister Allison said it. But I think the tickets were about $350. I believe that's what she said, if I'm not mistaken, to get in there. That in and of itself is a problem. $350 for entry for who? For who? For who? We got to look at things like that. I remember somebody had hit me up and said, yo, Jay-Z is doing such and such at Webster Hall in New York. The tickets was $800. I said, this person who asked me to go to Webster Hall in New York for $800, yeah, I got it. But am I giving that clown $800? Get the fuck out of here. No. I'm investing that in my business so I can continue to provide the services that I provide, especially when people don't have insurance. Because I got to fund my own shit. Because of people like y'all giving motherfuckers like that $850, and I got to fund my own shit to do something for the community. We got to be mindful of that kind of stuff. $850? $350? But you know why they can do it? I got to get out of here. I know I keep saying I got to get out of here, but I do. But you know why they can do it? They can do it because we are the same community. And don't Beehive, don't come after me. I'm just saying true for what it is. We are the same community that will go out and spend $800 on a tour ticket. So they know that we would do dumb shit like that. Late on the mortgage, late on the rent, late on the car note, reduce food in our house for the month. So they're doing it. So we have to ask ourselves why. Why are the tickets so high? You're P. Diddy. Do you really have to charge $350? Or are you saying you only want a certain population of people in there? Because some of us here are business owners. Y'all know me. I was teaching in the Black Business School for at least a year. Right? Y'all already know how I teach you how to strategically build your businesses, how to market your businesses, and how to target your population. I teach you guys that all the time. All the time. So, but what does that mean? We got to examine that. If your tickets are $350, you're targeting a certain population of people. You're not targeting the people who is hurting. You're not targeting the people who need to hear the information, who needs to be a part of the conversation. You're not. You're not. You're just not. There are many of us that would have sat on that panel for free. I doubt any of them was on that panel for free because they have a brand that they are building. And their brand their brand in their head is much better than all of ours. We gotta pay attention to this kind of stuff. This stuff matters. So always pay attention to who people are in bed with. Always pay attention to where their money sources are coming from. Who's funding their story. We got to pay attention to what they're trying to build for themselves in terms of their next steps tomorrow. These people got to eat too. I mean, I'm not going to pick on who Candace Owens married, but if you look at her husband's background and where he comes from, his lineage, it makes me scratch my head and wonder. I'm just being honest. And if we dig deeper, we can find out more information. Right? So Dwayne is saying it weeds out the people who actually need to learn the political process. Absolutely right. Absolutely right. Ida say she never understood that. Never understood what? That they charging these the high money. Yes. And Cassandra's saying always follow the money. We always have to follow the money trail. So that's all I'm going to say, people. I'm out of here. My son is officially 20 minutes late. Francis is saying, my question, where do we start to get this information to the mass and teach all? I'll tell you where we start, Francis. That's an excellent question. Where do we start to get this information so we can get it to the mass and be able to teach all? Candace, there are a lot of people in our communities that is doing the work. But the problem is, if they don't have 400,000 followers, many of us don't even follow them. That's why I love and appreciate my community, because I take my time and I build my community little by little by little. And people who are against the community, they get deleted. I don't try to hold them on for numbers. I can care less about the numbers. I'd rather do the work. I'd rather do the work. And I don't need to sit up here every day and talk about what I do and who I am. The people in this community, they know exactly who I am and they know what I do. I really do believe in a village, and I carry myself as such. All right. So when I say that there are people out there that's doing it, and I'm not saying, Francis, that you look for the big numbers, but we have to really start to ask ourselves, why do we follow certain people? Are we following them because we're getting entertained and we like the entertainment, or are we following them because we really want to learn and we want to be a part of something bigger? There's a lot of us that put calls to actions out there so that we can be a part of something bigger. And you have to also know who you're following. And you don't see most people that I research on Nowhere Around. So who are the people you're researching? Right? So who are the people you're researching? Because they are out there. They are out there, but they're little people like me that are making a difference. Right? So they're little people that don't have a social media presence that is showing up and they're doing the work. And so we have to be mindful. I always like, for one thing that I do, Francis, when I want to look for new people to associate myself with, I would go, for example, to Eventbrite, and I see who's doing political things in the area, who's doing activism in the area, who's doing things for the Black community in the area, and I would follow them on Eventbrite, and I would get a ticket just to show up so I could see who they are and what they're doing. I would support them in that way. But a lot of us, and not you, Francis, per se, I'm just saying in general, there's a lot of us that if we feel that we don't know who that person is, we won't even show up to learn anything about them. And that's sad. That's sad. Because we're chasing people who chase clout. And that's a dangerous pool to get into because it gets us nowhere. We've been doing this for years. And it gets us nowhere. We're chasing people who chase clout. Right? So it's kind of sickening and it's sad. And I'm not saying this is you, Francis. By no way am I speaking to you. But we have to really start getting out there. I know a lot of people who have done the work. I see people in the Bronx. And I only go by where I'm at, right? So I see people in the Bronx who are doing the work. Some people I'm linked up with. I even shared posts and stuff and videos of people that I'm connected with that are doing things, that are teaching children about healthy eating, teaching them how to cook healthy foods, educating their parents, doing great work. And I would share their video. And when I share their video, because it's not me, their video doesn't get shared. Or there's no comments on their video. But if it was my video, people would share it. That's not fair. That's not fair. There's a lot of us that's doing the work. And you also have to know, us in the community, we also have to know who we are following. Who we are following. Okay, Francis saying, she says, I go to events, but I don't see people who we need to watch and work with. Okay, when you're saying you don't see people you need to watch and work with, um, Francis, I would like to speak to you offline because I would like to know more about where you're from, the area, and then maybe I can start to connect you with some people that's actually doing the work. So, my office number is 862-704-6391, or you can send me a message in my inbox and leave me your number and I will call you and we can have a conversation about that. But I hear what you're saying and I don't want to discredit it. I also want to get you connected with some people if you're willing to do the work as well. But one thing I was going to say, and I'm going to getting off of here, is we also have to be mindful of who we are following. You got to know the people who you are following. I am a licensed clinical social worker. I am a doctor in my field and I do nothing but relationships. So everyone who I work with surrounds relationships, whether it is work relationships, intimate relationships, if it's same-sex relationships, if it's marriage, if it's dating. I do everything relationships. Even if you get into the point where you have to find the words to say because you have to address or have a difficult conversation with somebody, that is still a relationship. I work in those areas. My focus is saving the black family, saving the black children, saving black marriages. That's my focus. Everyone knows me from that area. So everything that I do is in reference to that. I have some people who was at my Black Family Blueprint on here as well, and they would tell you from the Black Family Blueprint how I operate is I teach the whole science of dating. I teach the science of courting. I teach the science of engagement, and I teach the science of marriage, and then I go into legacy. What does it mean to have a legacy and build legacy? And I educate and I teach them this all the time. I even go into professional settings and I teach people how to recognize the implicit bias in themselves who are working with black people. So I even address the professional realm. But again, you have to know the people that you are following and what they stand for to see if that's something that you can rock with. So like I said, there's going to be certain things you're never going to hear me talk on because it might go against my code of ethics. It might go against my morals and my values. So I won't speak on it. And if I don't see that it's conducive to building up the black family unit or the black community, I'm not going to speak on it, period. But I don't divide the black family and I don't divide the black community either. Because there's a lot of us, for example, there's a lot of us that are anti same-sex everything, right? But some of us got children who are same-sex. So I wouldn't speak out against that because their children matter to me. It doesn't matter whether I agree with it or I disagree with it. What matters is what's going to keep that family functioning healthy. That's what matters to me. So if that's something that people can't rock with, then maybe I'm not a person you need to follow. But it doesn't mean I'm going to go out there with a sign and I'll say it right here. I'm not caping for LGBTQIA. And there's no disrespect to it, but it's not my focus. It's not my fault. I'm not going to go protesting with a big sign. But if it happens to exist within a family, my job is to make sure that family is healthy. And I'm going to do just that. I'm going to do just that. Because if I don't, then I'm not doing what I say I'm here to do. Does that make sense what I'm saying, guys? Thank you. She said my son enjoyed the Black Family Blueprint. Thank you. But I say that to say we have to know who we're following. And we have to know that the work that they do and who they are and what they stand for. But it doesn't mean if they stand for something that you are against, it doesn't mean we automatically throw out the baby with the bathwater. Because you also have to look for areas in which you do agree with the person that you can stand with the person on. The stuff you don't agree, it's not important. What's important is where you agree with the person. So yeah, so that's all I got for you guys. I have a 6 o'clock meeting with somebody, and here's another thing. This is a brother that's coming in. His first name is Tahakra. I respect this brother. It's a brother who got rid of his slave name, changed his name, and I had helped him start his business, open up his business, and go it alone. And he's still in business for himself, and now he's here for me to go over some paperwork with him so he can make sure he's writing his proposal and his grant. For me to go over some paperwork with him so he can make sure he's writing his proposal and his grant. To a standard where he can get some money to continue to service black boys and black families. So we are around. We are around. And yes, I got to help you find out how to look for us. But there are people who are really doing the work. And no, this brother that's coming in, he don't got 200, 300, 400,000 people following him. Hell, he probably only got 50,000, not 200, 300, 400,000 people following him. Hell, he probably only got 50,000 people. I don't even got those kind of numbers. But it doesn't mean that we're not fucking doing the work. Right? This brother's doing the work. So let me go, as I know he's outside right now. I love every last one of you guys. Even my son. My son is going to the STEP program. I'm going to share about STEP on my page when I get out of here, which is a mentoring program for black boys. It's a rites of passage program. And that's where I'm taking my son at right now. So those brothers only got like 76 likes on Facebook. Go to their page. It's the STEP program. And it's in Newark, New Jersey. They only got like 76 likes on their page. But they've been doing the work for 15 years. Transforming boys, keeping them off the street, keeping guns out of their hands, keeping drugs out of their hands. It's a rite of passage. These boys learn self-defense and everything. But people don't really know about them. But they're doing the work, man. They're doing the work. I promise we are out there. We are out there. We are doing the work. We are doing the work. But it's clowns. It's clowns like I saw at the Revolt Summit that overshadow what we're doing because they're going for clout. I love you guys. I'm out of here. Y'all share the video. Thank y'all for your support in this community, both on YouTube. I know I've been neglecting you guys, and on Facebook. Share the video. Share the video. And I love everything that you guys are doing as well. I know you guys share with me. And most important, I just love your support. So when I have my workshops, show up. Show up. Somebody says, I need that. I'm in Brooklyn. Can we come? Anybody can come. We got people that come all over. I don't live in Newark, New Jersey. I don't live in Newark, New Jersey, but all the work I do is in Essex County. So I stay here till 9:30 at night because my people are here. My people are here. And my sons need to be a part of their people. So when people say, I hope you're raising your oldest kids black, my oldest kids are black. Shit, my oldest kids are probably more black than half of you motherfucking kids out there. My kids be getting kicked out of school because they too goddamn black. But anyway, that's all I got for y'all today. I love every last one of y'all. Let me go. I'm out. Peace and researching. Now, how do I stop it here on YouTube? Let me see.